Okay, guys, today we are going to be identifying key attributes from standard form, and we are going to be moving the equation from standard form into slope-intercept form. To start off with, I would like for you to remember what we just did a couple of days ago and what was on our quiz. I do apologize for not being able to give your quizzes back. I will give those back to you Monday. But you should be able to look at your home access center to see your grades on those. So take a minute and talk with your partners at your tables about this problem and how to get it into standard form. Hopefully you guys all subtracted 2/3 x on both sides. So it gave you 2/3 x plus y is equal to 5. And then we want to get rid of the 3 that's in the denominator as well as create a positive x term. So we're going to multiply by -3. That gives me positive 2x. Distribute all the way through the problem. -3y is equal to -15. Again, that is what was on your quiz. That is what we've been doing over the last couple of days. So today what we're going to do is actually work backwards and go from standard form to slope-intercept form. And so those are our learning targets for today, and to also look at key attributes from the standard form. Okay, so here's my slope-intercept form and my standard form. Again, those again will be given to you on your formula chart. You don't have to memorize anything on that screen. So here's where we're starting, and I do understand that this is kind of a bad standard form. I didn't write this, sorry. But the x term normally is positive, but for this particular beginning one, the x is negative. We're going to do the same process any way that you look at it, whether it's positive or negative. So the very first thing I want to do is I'm trying to get it into y equals. And if I'm trying to get it into y equals, right now there's this -4x that I want to move and get rid of. So the first thing I'm going to do is move the x term back to the right side of the equation. When I do that, the x's will cancel on the left, and I get 2y is equal to 4x plus 12. Now, I put the 4x on the left side of the 12 because that's how I'm used to seeing it in the y equals mx plus b. So I want to put it in that same order with the x coming before the number. To finish, I'll then divide by 2. And just like when we were multiplying by everything, I'm going to divide by everything. Everything's going to be divided by that 2. So these 2's cancel. I end up with y equals 4 divided by 2 is 2, and 12 divided by 2 is 6. So this is my final answer, and this is in slope-intercept form. From this, you can see the slope is 2. The y-intercept is 6. The x-intercept is a little bit more challenging, but something we need to discuss. The x-intercept is going to be found by making y 0. Because when I look at the graph of this, if I were to graph this, I would get something that looks similar to this. Where would the x-intercept be? Hopefully you're all saying right about there. So if my x-intercept is located right there, what is the y value of the x-intercept? 0, right? So if the y value is 0, I can actually plug 0 into one of the two equations and solve it for x. So if I plug in 0 for y, and I'm just taking this equation here, 0 for y, I get 2x plus 6, and if I want to solve that, I would subtract the 6 on both sides, and then I would have -6 equals 2x, and I would solve that by dividing both sides by 2. Sorry, I ran out of room there at the bottom of the page. So this is going to be negative, negative 3. Okay? So that is that whole problem. Okay, on the right side, we'll do this one together as well. First step, again, is going to be to move the x. So we'll move this 6x over, it's negative, and then I get 7y is equal to negative 6x minus 42. After that, again, I want to get the y value by itself. So I can get the y value by itself by dividing by 7. Everything gets divided by 7. And if I divide each number by 7, each term, excuse me, by 7, this is negative 6/7 x. 42 divided by 7 is 6. Now, negative 6/7 is a really ugly number, but that's okay because it's a slope. So we're going down 6 over 7. That's my rise and my run. We're not worried about the fact that that's a fraction. So this is, the slope is negative 6/7. The y-intercept is negative 6. And the x-intercept is going to be a little bit more challenging for this one because I do have that fraction. So I'm going to extend this just a little bit because I didn't like the way this looked. I ran out of room. I'm actually going to go back and rewrite this so that it's prettier for you. I don't like it. So this is negative 6, 2x divided by 2. And that's my x is negative 3. So over here, again, the y value is 0. So if I plug in 0 for y, I get negative 6/7 x minus 6. First step, I would add 6 on both sides. And this is something that we didn't deal a lot with when we were solving equations, but having to deal with that fraction. You may remember from junior high or before, and we did talk about this a little bit, but we're actually going to multiply by the reciprocal here. So the reciprocal would be a negative 7/6. And that's going to give me negative 42 over 6, which is negative 7. Now, if that is like super tricky to you, remember, and actually I'm going to write the instructions right here for you. I'm going to add a page really quickly. For the calculator, we talked about putting it into your TI Inspire and going back and having that be able to solve the equations for you. Once you're on the home screen. That isn't right. Sorry. When you're on the home screen, then we can, is that right? Oh, I give up on my life today. Go home. Sorry, this is me having, it's late in the afternoon. Let's just go home, if you can spell that. Wow. Okay, so we're at the home screen, and then you're going to go ahead and hit the calculate. And then once you're in calculate, then you're going to hit menu 3 and then 1. Then you will type the equation exactly how you see it. And then put a little comma. So you have to make sure you add the comma and the X and hit enter. And then the calculator will actually solve the problem for you. So if you want that, you can use that. If you're using the TI Inspire, that can help you out to solve that last problem. Okay. So I want you to try the one on the left on your own. I think that one's pretty good problem. The x-intercept, I believe, may be a little tricky, so you don't have to necessarily do that on your own. You can use the calculator to help you out with that. I'm going to give you about a minute or two to talk about it in your groups. and to do that, and then I'll come back on and explain how to do it. Okay, if you still need more time, you can pause. But you can just move the 3 over. So we're going to subtract the 3x. So this is 5y is equal to negative 3x plus 55. And then divide every term by 5. So that gives me negative 3/5 x plus 11. My slope then would be negative 3/5. The y-intercept is 11. Again, the x-intercept is going to be very kind of tricky. It's not a real pretty answer. A lot of x-intercepts are not very pretty answers. So if I get this, I again would take and put a 0 in for y, and then do negative. And actually, for this problem, I'm going to take the original problem up here and put a 0 in for y. And if I put a 0 in for y, this makes it not too bad. Equals 55. This term goes away, right? Because 5 times 0 is 0. I get 3x equals 55. Then I'll divide by 3. Then I get 55 divided by 3, which is 3 goes into 5 one time with 2 left over. 24 is 8 with 1 left over. So it's 18 1/3. Okay. So like I said, that x-intercept is not very pretty. Many of them are not. My big goal for you today is to make sure that you can get this part done. Okay? So that's the part we're going to do. That's the part we're going to focus on. And then I'm going to teach you how to do the x-intercept kind of like this, only kind of with a little cheat by using your finger. Okay, so over here, I'm not going to give you any extra time. If you need extra time, just put the video on pause. I'm trying to finish this in 15 minutes. So I'm going to subtract the 6x. So negative 4y is equal to negative 6x minus 32. Divide by negative 4. Everything gets divided by negative 4. Make sure you divide each piece with a negative number. These cancel. The negatives cancel. Don't forget, 6 divided by 4 is really 3/2. 32 divided by 4, those negatives cancel, is 8. So the slope is 3/2. The y-intercept is 8. For the rest of the notes, I'm going to put this on a second video so you can access the second video to catch the second half of this lesson. Thanks, guys.